Ever wondered why some divers seem to have an infinite supply of air with the same tank cylinder as yours, while you're pulling out all the stops to not bring the dive to an early end from low air? It's not magic, it's technique. I used to suck down air like it was a race to the finish line, but now I'm able to push to that 2-hour mark on a single tank on relatively deep dives. So in this video, I'll show you 5 simple tips to help you suck way less air on your dives and more time enjoying the beauty of the underwater world. First, we are going to explore the most fundamental building block of all your diving skills. And yes, it also plays a massive importance on your air consumption. Think about your last dive. How much time did you spend fiddling with your buoyancy control device, or your BCD, constantly inflating or deflating to maintain your position in the water? Each of those adjustments uses air, and over the course of a dive, it really adds up. But more than that, poor buoyancy control means you're constantly working against the water, using energy, and therefore air, to stay at your desired depth. The goal is to achieve what we call neutral buoyancy, that magical state where you're perfectly suspended in the water, neither sinking nor floating upward. When you're neutrally buoyant, you're not fighting against your own body or the water around you. You're free to focus on the underwater world, conserving both energy and your air. So how do we get to where we need with buoyancy control? It starts with proper weighting. Many divers make mistakes of overweighting themselves, thinking it's safer. But all the extra weight means you need to add more air to your BCD to compensate, which creates more drag and uses more air. Further, overweighting could create serious safety concerns where a diver may be so overweighted they may not be able to surface on their own in the event of a BCD failure. Before your next dive, take some time to check your weighting. You should be able to float at eye level with an empty BCD and your lungs mostly full at the start of your dive. And then when you exhale, you'll find yourself being able to go beneath the surface. All you have to do is breathe in again to come back to the surface, and now you have full control of breaking the surface with your lungs. If you can't breathe in to bring yourself to the top, you're too heavy, and if you can't break the surface when you fully exhale, you're too light. And the final test is at the end of the dive. You should be comfortably able to do your safety stop without having to kick downwards, being that you should hold neutral trim at about 5 to 6 meter and 15 to 20 foot mark, and not have to worry about that positive buoyancy bringing you up to the surface while holding your safety stop. If you are positively buoyant, then you need to add more weight on your next dive. Once you've got your weight sorted out, it's time to fine tune with your BCD. The key here is to make small controlled adjustments. Don't wait until you're rapidly sinking or floating up to add or release air. Instead, anticipate your needs, make tiny tweaks before you lose control. Here's where things get really interesting. Did you know you can use your lungs for minor buoyancy adjustments? It's true. A full breath can add as much as 10 pounds of buoyancy, allowing you to ascend or descend a few feet without touching your BCD at all. I'm not going to lie to you, mastering buoyancy takes practice, but I've got an exercise that will really help you improve. Next time you're diving in calm conditions, try this. Pick a fixed point or depth underwater. It could be a particular coral formation or spot on a wreck. It can also be a fixed line with a little marker on it. Now try to hover completely motionless at that fixed depth for 3 to 5 minutes. No using your hands, no finning, just pure buoyancy control. Keep fine-tuning this deviation until it's under 1 meter or 3 feet. The safety stop is a great time to practice this. I know what you're thinking, 3 to 5 minutes. That's nothing, but trust me, when you're actually trying to stay perfectly still underwater, it feels like an eternity. You'll probably find yourself drifting up or down, forward or back. That's okay. Each little movement is teaching you something about your buoyancy. Maybe you notice you tend to sink when you exhale. That's your cue to add just a tiny puff of air to your BCD, or perhaps you float up when you're not paying attention. Try exhaling a little bit more. Focus on using your lungs more and relying on your BCD only for a few adjustments when you're changing depth substantially. Do know if you are close to the surface, it will take more skill as things get a bit more squirrely with surge and the pressure exchange close to the surface, about 5 meters or 15 feet. This exercise isn't about staying still, it's about becoming hyper aware of how your body interacts with the water around you. As you practice, you'll start developing a almost intuitive sense of your buoyancy. You'll find yourself making tiny adjustments without even thinking about it, using your lungs and maybe a small amount of the air in your BCD to maintain your position effortlessly. The payoff for all this practice? It is huge. Divers who have mastered their buoyancy control reported saving up to 25% less air on their dives. Just think about that for a moment. That's not just a few extra minutes underwater, that's potentially 15 minutes or more on an hour-long dive. Imagine what you could see and do with all that extra time. But it's not just about the numbers. When you have buoyancy control, your whole diving experience changes. You're no longer fighting the water or constantly worrying about your position. Instead, you're free to focus on the beauty around you. You can approach marine life more closely without startling it, capture better underwater photos, and generally enjoy a more relaxed and comfortable dive. Now that we've covered the core building block of buoyancy control, let me show you something that might seem obvious but often overlooked and literally related to your air consumption. Have you ever noticed that really strong divers pin their depth with very little movement up or down, while your deviations when you breathe are quite substantial? Chances are they've mastered the art of efficient breathing. It's not just about taking in the air, it's about how you take it in and how you let it out. You might be thinking, I've been breathing my whole life. What's there to learn? Well, when it comes to scuba diving, your breathing pattern underwater is just as important as the gear you use. Enter the 4-to-6 breathing ratio. This is simple yet effective technique can transform your diving experience. Here's how it works. You inhale for 4 seconds and then exhale for 6 seconds. It's that straightforward. But why does this work so well underwater? First, let me show you more about oxygen absorption. When you breathe slowly and deeply, you give your lungs more time to extract oxygen from the air you inhale. This means you're getting more bang for your buck with each breath. Plus, the longer exhalation helps flush out more carbon dioxide from your system, which can build up during a dive and make you feel breathless. Remember, you breathe in for oxygen and your body demands to breathe out to get rid of carbon dioxide. If you feel the urge to breathe hard, it's often a symptom that your body is working too hard and building up a lot of carbon dioxide and needs to get rid of it. But there's more to it than just efficient gas exchange. This slow, controlled breathing pattern has a calming effect on your body and mind. Think about it. When you're stressed or anxious, your breathing tends to become rapid and shallow. By consciously slowing down your breath, you're sending a signal to your body that everything is okay. This can help you reduce anxiety and prevent panic underwater, which are often major culprits in excessive air consumption. An average diver might take about 20 breaths per minute, but with the 4-to-6 breathing technique, you're looking at about 12 breaths per minute. That's a reduction of 30% in your breathing rate. Just imagine what you can do with the air that you'll be saving from the air consumption. But like any new skill, this breathing technique takes practice. You can't expect to jump into water and suddenly breathe like a pro. That's why I recommend starting with some land-based exercise. Here's a simple one you can try right now. Sit comfortably and place one hand on your chest and the other hand on your belly. Now breathe in slowly for 4 seconds, feeling your belly expand. Then exhale slowly for 6 seconds, feeling your belly contract. Focus on making your belly hand move more than your chest hand. This ensures you're using your diaphragm for deep and efficient breaths. Practice this for a few minutes each day, and you'll start to develop a muscle memory for the breathing pattern. Once you're comfortable with it on the land, try it in the pool or shallow water. You might find it feels a bit different underwater at first, but stick with it. The more you practice, the more natural it will become. Remember, the goal isn't to hold your breath or to struggle for those extra seconds of exhalation. It's about finding a comfortable, relaxed rhythm that you can maintain through the dive. If you need to adjust the ratio slightly, that's okay. The important thing is to keep breathing slow, deep, and controlled. Eventually, the 4:6 ratio will become more arbitrary the more you practice, and the real end goal is to get you to breathe more slower and more naturally. The benefits of mastering this breathing technique go beyond just saving air. When you're breathing efficiently, you're more relaxed underwater. This means less carbon dioxide buildup, which means you can achieve slower breathing. Also, you're less likely to make sudden movements or adjustments that can disturb marine life or kick up sediment. You'll find yourself moving more smoothly through the water, almost as if you're part of the underwater environment, rather than just a visitor. Now that we've covered breathing techniques, let me show you something that might surprise you. Picture this. You're diving in cool water and you can start to feel a chill. It's not just uncomfortable, it's actually affecting how much air you're using. When you're cold, your body has to work harder to maintain its core temperature. This increased effort means you're using much more oxygen and consequently more air from your tank. Not to mention, when your body is running cold, you put yourself at a higher risk of decompression sickness. Worse, if you follow all the other tips I give you in this video, you will be running so efficiently in the water, it will just feel colder easier. So what's the solution? It's all about proper exposure protection. Wearing the right wetsuit or dry suit for the conditions isn't just about comfort, it's a crucial factor in managing your air consumption. Remember, you lose heat from your body around 20 times faster in water than in air. That means even if the water doesn't feel that cold when you enter, your body temperature can drop quickly over the course of the dive. And it's not uncommon to feel very cold towards the end of the dive. The colder you are, the more your body needs to focus on spending energy to heat itself up, and it will focus less on being efficient and moving out nitrogen. When choosing your exposure protection, consider the water temperature, your planned dive time, and your personal tolerance for cold. It's better to be a little too warm than start shivering halfway through your dive. But staying warm is only half the battle. The other crucial factor in conserving air is staying relaxed. A relaxed diver is an efficient diver. When you're stressed or anxious underwater, your breathing rate increases, and you burn through your air supply much faster. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how quickly your tank empties when you're nervous or in a challenging situation? That's because stress triggers your body's fight or flight response, causing you to take rapid, shallow breaths and carbon dioxide buildup as the heart rate escalates. Not only does this use up more air, but it also makes you less efficient at absorbing oxygen from each breath. So how do we stay calm underwater? It starts with that controlled breathing. Remember that 4:6 ratio we talked about earlier? It's not just air conservation. It's a powerful tool for managing stress. When you focus on slow, deliberate breaths, you're sending a signal to your body that everything is okay. Mindfulness techniques can also be incredibly helpful. Try this. Next time you're underwater, take a moment to really focus on your surroundings. Notice the colors of the coral, the patterns of light filtering through the water, the gentle sway of the sea fans. By immersing yourself in the present moment, you're less caught up in the anxious thoughts. The more comfortable you become with your skills and equipment, the less likely you are to experience stress during your dives. Consider taking advanced courses, learning from experienced divers, or practicing skills in a controlled environment like a pool. By staying warm and relaxed, you can potentially reduce your air consumption by up to 15%. That's not just a minor improvement, it could mean the difference between 40 and a 46-minute dive. You'll also lower the risk of decompression sickness, as I mentioned earlier. It's a win-win. But it's not just about the numbers. When you're warm and relaxed, you're able to fully immerse yourself in the underwater world. Now take a moment to imagine yourself scuba diving with a giant parachute attached to your back that is constantly adding drag to every movement. That sounds exhausting, right? While it's not quite that extreme, diving with poorly configured gear creates an unnecessary drag, and our next step to reduce your air consumption is to combat against this drag. The more resistance you create moving through water, the harder you work and the more air you use. It's like trying to run a marathon in oversized boots. You're fighting against yourself with every single step. So how do we fix this? It's called streamlining and is all about creating a sleek profile underwater. Start by taking a good look at your gear setup. Are your gauges dangling freely, swinging back and forth as you swim? Is your backup second stage flopping about? These might seem like small issues, but they add up quickly, and not to mention can be a huge safety issue as they are entanglement hazards. The key is to tuck everything in nice and snug. Your pressure gauge and your alternate air source should be securely close to your body and not trailing behind you like underwater kites. Use clips that scuba divers refer to as bolt snaps to keep them into place. If you're carrying a camera or other accessories, make sure they're streamlined against your body too. Here's a practical tip you can use right away. Before your next dive, take a few minutes to do a streamline check. Stand up with your gear and look for those loose and or dangling items. Can you tuck that hose in a bit tighter? Is your backup second stage secured properly? This quick check can make a big difference in your underwater efficiency. Incorporate these into your buddy checks too. Any thread sticking out of your pocket or dangling item is a snag and entanglement hazard too. Now let me show you more about BCDs. A well-fitted BCD is crucial for streamlining. If it's too big, it creates unnecessary bulk or drag. It should fit your body fairly closely. Make sure your BCD fits snugly and isn't shifting around as you move, as well as your tank. Remember, we're going for that sleek, hydrodynamic look, at least as far as we can get with those big cylinders on our back. Think of yourself as a submarine, not a barge. Your wetsuit or dry suit plays a role in streamlining too. A suit that's too loose will create drag and make you work harder. On the flip side, a suit that fits well will help you glide through the water with less effort. Even posture while diving also makes a huge difference. The ideal neutral trim is flat, like you're laying on the ground with your legs kicked up and fins pointing outward. This posture allows you to slice through the water or current with less resistance, like a thick knife cutting through butter. Now imagine the flip side, where you are more horizontal and suddenly, instead of a knife cutting through butter, you're more like a flat palm smashing the butter. Just imagine how much more resistance this gets versus this, when the water's moving this way. Now you might be wondering, does all this really make that much of a difference? The answer is a resounding yes! A properly streamlined gear setup and posture can potentially save you up to 20% of your air each dive. That's not just a minor improvement, it could be the difference between a 40-minute and a 50-minute dive. Not to mention, being streamlined is a must for current dives to conserve your energy. But streamlining isn't just about extending your dive time, it also makes your entire diving experience more comfortable, safe, and enjoyable. When you're not constantly adjusting loose gear or fighting against drag, you can relax and focus on the beauty around you. You'll move through the water with greater ease and grace, feeling more like a natural part of the underwater environment. Alright, moving on. Imagine when you dive, take a look around you and observe how graceful animals like turtles, dolphins, and sea lions glide around. Their movements are precise and exact. They must look at us divers and are amazed at how inefficient we are as we thrash around furiously with all of our limbs. Think about it for a moment. Your fins are your primary means of propulsion underwater. They're like your car's engine. If they're not working efficiently, you're going to burn through a lot more fuel. In this case, that fuel is your precious air supply. The traditional way finning is taught is to have slow, wide, and powerful kicks from the hip. However, this is not necessarily efficient unless you really need to get somewhere fast, at the cost of additional air burn. If you have the air to spare, go for it. But if you're trying to become more efficient and better at air consumption, you want to pay attention to more efficient kicks. Instead, with good trim, you should utilize precise kicks that move the hips very little, since the hip dropping will take you out of neutral streamlined trim. The kicks should not be so powerful to take you out of neutral trim and are much more methodical. In fact, they should feel like they are very efficient and don't take too much energy. This technique allows you to move through the water with minimal resistance, with good neutral trim, conserving your energy and, by extension, your air. Now let's address some common mistakes that many divers make. One of the biggest culprits is what I call the bicycle kick. You know, that frantic pedaling motion that looks like they're trying to ride an invisible underwater bicycle. Not only does this create a lot of unnecessary turbulence, but it also uses up a ton of energy without actually moving you very far. This should not be confused with proper finning techniques such as the flutter kick or alternative flutter kick, which will have you kicking without fully straightening your leg and only one fin kicking at a time. The resting position of your feet is maintaining a bent leg with about a 90-degree turn on the knee. There's also the alternative flutter, which barely moves your legs and is more subtle. It's much more precise kick and does not disturb the things surrounding things. It's as efficient as it is precise and works well in very enclosed environments. And let's not forget about using your arms to swim. While it might seem natural to use your arms to pull yourself through the water, it's actually counterproductive. Your arms create a lot of drag and use up energy that could be better spent on proper finning. Proper position for your arms can be crossed or at rest, but even better, you can hold them out for balance and to hold your trim better. The best way I know how to improve is to simply ask your dive buddy to film you with a camera. While you're finning, the motion should not drop your hips and your body should look relatively at ease and streamlined with good neutral trim. Watch the recording and see how it looks and constantly aim for improvement. Speaking of payoffs, let me show you about the potential benefits of mastering efficient finning. By improving your finning techniques, you can reduce your energy used by up to 30%. That's not just a small improvement, it's a game changer. Think about it. If you're using 30% less energy to move through the water, that translates to better air consumption. Notice I didn't push any particular finning technique as being the best. I won't get into the frog versus flutter debate here, but they are both finning techniques you should practice and be comfortable with. Neither is better than the other for air efficiency, in my opinion, if both are done correctly. The main takeaway is that finning should feel gentle and effortless while not breaking your trim. Remember, like any skill, efficient finning takes practice. Don't get discouraged. If it doesn't feel natural right away, every time you get in the water is an opportunity to improve. Start by focusing on your technique in calm, shallow waters before applying it to your open water dives. Over time, you'll find that efficient finning becomes second nature. So there you have it. 5 simple yet powerful tips to transform your air consumption underwater. I didn't include an obvious one in addition to these techniques, but of course, fitness plays a major role too. I wanted to focus on measurable skills you can improve explicitly through diving more, while you improve fitness on the side. Now, it's your turn to put these into practice. On your next dive, try focusing on 1 or 2 of these tips. Pay attention to how they affect your air consumption and overall comfort in the water. You can refer to this video anytime for refreshers and share it with your friends if they are looking for pointers. The world of scuba diving is vast, and as a community striving to make a difference and constantly improve ourselves, I know just a video for you to watch next to put these tips into practice and really take things to the next level as a safe, efficient, and strong diver. Check that out here, and until next time.